My next guest has been barnstorming the country long before the polls started to turn and the unpopularity of the Voice became apparent. She was taking up the fight to the Prime Minister and all those rich corporates and sporting clubs when it looked like their millions would turn the tide. A real David and Goliath battle, if ever there was one. Well, tonight she joins us from out of her latest campaign event in Adelaide, of course, talking about that warrior for equality in our Constitution, Opposition Shadow Minister for Indigenous Australians, Jacinta Price. Jacinta, welcome. Great to have you on the program. You're absolutely in the home straight now. I know you're busy. I know you've barely spent a night in your own bed. The last time there was a no rally in Adelaide, protesters were out the front hurling abuse at you and other guests. Give us a sense now. You've seen the polls again today. It's worsening for the Yes camp. How does that match up to the mood you're finding on the ground?
Oh, look, Peter, the mood is incredible on the ground, particularly in the last week or so. It's just really amazing. Like, each time I've come back to the capital cities, at each event, the mood has just grown. There's been more excitement, more sort of electrifying responses from the audience, more sort of Australians who are galvanised in the idea that we need to stay as a united country, that we shouldn't be divided, that we want what's best for everyone, including our most marginalised. And it's certainly the sense today, it's the feeling today. I've got incredible people backing me up. I've got wonderful volunteers, and I'm so grateful for their support, for the support of volunteers right across the country and Australians right across the country that are certainly helping in terms of carrying me along to the finish line. It's wonderful.
One of the things I thought was really interesting, and I made this comment with Jenna Shanahan a moment ago in the polling out today, was this idea that it's only the boomers and older Australians who are voting against the Voice. There is not one demographic that is majority voting yes, and indeed even young people 18 to 34 are in the no camp in large numbers than they are in the yes camp. This says a lot about where ordinary Australians are compared to the messaging we've heard from the elites, isn't it?
Absolutely, Peter. I mean, this is evidence that the government, that the Prime Minister have put a terrible proposal before the Australian people that has lacked absolute detail, cannot demonstrate how it's supposed to support our most marginalised, and they've just assumed that they could get the support of Australians on the vibe that young people wouldn't look into this further for themselves. You know, I think it's also a result of the fact that, you know, our kids have been taught not to be proud of themselves. There's been incredible division. You know, the identity politics has really done damage to our country, and I think Australians of all ages are turning around to say, enough's enough. We're not going to have this anymore. I mean, you know, I've got a wonderful young fella, a part of my support group this evening. You know, they're getting younger and younger in terms of the support, because this young bloke here wants to grow up in an Australia where he's proud to call himself Australian because of the merit, because of the things that he's going to achieve, the opportunities that this country presents for him. And that's what it's been all about. Certainly the sense that I've been feeling on the ground as I've been going around the country, that's the feeling tonight. And, you know, I'm looking forward to the end of the week, finally, where we can bring Australia back together again after this division.
Given the polls, given the overwhelming support they say is there for the no vote, is there any concern you have that turnout won't be there on Saturday, that people will think this is already won?
Oh, look, I'm hoping and I'm urging all Australians to make sure you continue to come out and cast your vote. Continue to, if you're undecided, do your research to understand just how empty this Voice proposal really is, to understand the consequences that voting yes could bring about as a result of this referendum, and not be complacent. Certainly for those who are supporting the no vote, make sure your vote counts. It's no time to be complacent whatsoever, despite what the polls are telling us.
Well, you're almost there, Jacinta. I know it's been a heroic effort from you and your team and Warren Mundine and others. So all our very best to go right there until 6 o'clock on Saturday night. We'll speak to you on the other side. Jacinta Price.